What if I told you that the single most demanding job you have every single day isn't, moving heavy boxes or running a mile. It's just being human. Your brain is constantly running these sophisticated processes, making decisions, managing inputs, and, well, it gets tired. Just like your body, your mind experiences fatigue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've been immersed in this fantastic source. It's a guide to mental health essentials really aimed at youth. And what makes it so good is how it takes all this, clinical psychology language.
Yeah, the jargon.
Exactly, the jargon. And it translates it into something simple, something validating, and something you can apply immediately. So our vision today is a deep dive into this material. We need to pull out the core insights, how it kind of radically redefines mental health, what objective signals tell us the mind needs a pit stop. And then there's this practical 5-step toolkit it calls Simple Brain Hacks. This is essential synthesized knowledge for quickly getting a handle on mental well-being.
And, the source starts by just dissolving any barrier to entry, which is so crucial for accessibility. It sets the stage by saying, this deep dive is for everyone. It states it directly. It says, if you have feelings, if you think, if you ever feel happy, sad, angry, scared, or confused, then this deep dive is for you.
I love that.
Yeah, it immediately removes that stigma that, mental health is only for people who are in a crisis.
That reframing it's everything. It moves the concept of mental health out of the sickness category and into the category of daily functionality. If we really simplify the definition, the guy just tells us mental health is simply how your mind feels and how it works.
That's it.
It's a mechanism that needs maintenance.
Exactly. And that leads us straight into the first really crucial concept, which is normalizing the struggle. The source uses this wonderful, accessible framing device. It reminds you that physical pain is normal. You break a bone, you get sick.
Right.
And mental stress is exactly the same thing.
It's fighting that misconception that feeling sad or stressed or anxious is some kind of moral failure.
Or a weakness.
Or weakness, yeah. The guide is crystal clear on this. These feelings are just the operating system doing its job. They mean you're human. What the source does so well is it separates that normal, necessary human reaction from the really harmful internal narrative. The one that says, I'm defective because I feel this way.
It's the difference between saying, my leg hurts because I just ran a marathon, versus my leg hurts because I'm fundamentally bad at running. The guide insists on that first analogy. It uses that body comparison relentlessly. Just like your body can get a cold or be totally exhausted, your mind can feel sick or tired. And by framing it that way, it reassures you that these complex, difficult internal experiences, they are not a reflection of your worth.
The language is just incredibly soothing. It says, feeling stressed doesn't mean you're weak and feeling anxious doesn't mean you're broken. It's just this powerful validation that gives you the words for the fact that sometimes the mind just needs a rest. It needs processing time or dedicated care.
And that whole normalization process, it naturally leads us to the section where the guide tailors its advice. It looks at the unique pressures of different life stages. They recognize that a 6-year-old's stress looks fundamentally different from a 16-year-old's. For younger individuals, it introduces this truly brilliant and relatable analogy.
The messy room.
The messy room, exactly. It says sometimes your brain feels like a messy room. It's full of thoughts, full of big, confusing feelings, and there's just too much clutter on the floor to walk. So the goal then isn't to solve some existential crisis. It's just to start tidying the room.
I love that.
Yeah, and the job for them is broken down into 4 basic actions: to talk, to play, to rest, and to ask for help when the clutter feels too big.
Here's where it gets particularly sharp, because then the guide pivots to the intense reality of being a teenager.
Yeah?
And the tangible pressures that cause what it correctly labels brain overtime.
Good phrase.
It's a great phrase. We aren't talking about vague anxieties anymore. The source outlines very specific weight being placed on the teenage mind. I mean, think about the stack of pressures it lists. You've got rigorous school expectations, the constant draining performance anxiety from social media.
Oh, that's a big
A
one.
huge one. Then the complexities of friends, navigating family expectations, and then layered over all of that is this massive, messy process of trying to figure out who you are.
Your fundamental identity.
Who you are now and who you're going to be. That is an enormous amount of simultaneous processing.
And that phrase, working overtime, is just so insightful because it shifts the problem. It validates that feeling of being overwhelmed without making it about personal failure.
Right.
If your brain is working overtime, it means you're trying to manage 10 complex tasks at once. The solution isn't to just try harder. It's to prioritize, delegate, or maybe just shut down a few tasks.
And I think we need to spend a moment on the social media pressure because the source implies this is a silent tax on the teen brain. It's not just communication, it's constant comparison. You are perpetually aware of what everyone else is doing, achieving, looking like, and that creates an impossible metric for success that just never existed for previous generations.
Precisely. And the guide just cuts through all that noise with a core essential message for that age group, and it's simply, you don't have to deal with everything alone.
Yeah.
By validating the sheer volume of work the brain is doing, the source makes seeking support feel like a logical maintenance step.
And not a desperate plea.
Not at all. So once we've normalized the struggle and we've validated the overwhelm as overtime, the next crucial step is identification. How do you know when you need to call a pit stop?
Right.
The guide provides these clear objective markers, and it emphatically frames them as signals, not weaknesses.
This is so critical for our learner. We need concrete metrics, not just vague feelings. And the guide gives us 5 specific, tangible signals to watch out for. The first signal is simply feeling tired all the time, even when you've had enough sleep, which suggests that underlying cognitive load isn't getting resolved. The second is getting angry or sad very quickly. That kind of volatility suggests your emotional buffer is just frayed.
The third is a behavioral cue, wanting to be alone more than usual, that impulse to isolate. And the fourth is a cognitive one, really, feeling like no one understands me, which often indicates this severe internal isolation.
And finally, the fifth signal is a loss of engagement, inability to focus or enjoy things you used to like.
Anhedonia.
Exactly. That loss of pleasure is often one of the clearest signs that the brain's chemistry or capacity is depleted. What's great about listing them so specifically is that it removes the guesswork. If you're tired, you're volatile, and you can't enjoy your favorite show, you don't have a character flaw.
Yeah.
You have 3 signals telling you the machine needs care.
And if we step back and connect this to the bigger picture, these signals are observable. They are outward calls for help from the brain. The guide makes sure you understand they are not personal failings. And that distinction is vital because it means the solution is actionable.
It's maintenance.
It's maintenance, not metamorphosis. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to fix how your mind is currently running.
Which brings us to the most actionable part of this entire deep dive, the 5 simple brain hacks. This is the core toolkit, and it's designed for immediate use when those signals start popping up. Let's dive into them, because the real power is in the why behind the what.
Okay, so hack number 1 is name your feelings. The guide really pushes back against that automatic response of, I'm fine. The advice is to get specific. Are you sad, angry, nervous, lonely? Be precise.
And why does this simple act of labeling even work? Well, when you label the feeling, let's say it's anxiety, you are engaging the logic center of your brain.
The prefrontal cortex.
The part responsible for reasoning. When the feeling is just a huge, scary, abstract blob, your emotional center takes over. By naming it, you pull that chaos out of the emotional system and put it into a container the thinking part of the brain can actually manage. It's a cognitive trick to just dial down the intensity.
Okay, hack number 2, talk to someone you trust. Could be a parent, a teacher, a sibling, a friend. The key word here is trust. It's about making sure the person you share with is a safe harbor.
And the rationale is beautiful. It's so simple. Talking doesn't make problems bigger, it makes them lighter. When you externalize a problem, you create distance between yourself and the burden. So instead of the problem being you, the problem becomes something you are discussing. It's about sharing the cognitive weight. And that just fundamentally changes how your brain processes the stress.
Hack number 3 is one we all know, but often, underutilized. Move your body. And this doesn't have to be structured exercise. Yeah. The guide suggests walking, dancing, even just playing.
And the physiological payoff is immediate. Movement helps your brain release stress in a couple of ways. First, physical activity is a direct conduit for emotional tension. If you're physically tense from stress, moving breaks that locked up state. Second, and maybe more importantly, movement releases those feel-good brain chemicals, endorphins, which act as natural mood elevators. It's like a system reset.
Hack number 4, take brain breaks. And this is where the guide draws a really crucial distinction between passive consumption and active rest.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It is. Screens, social media, video games, they're fun, they're entertaining, but the brain needs a different kind of rest for real restoration.
So effective brain breaks, like the source lists them, are activities that let the mind process without demanding high-level input. So think sleep, music, quiet time, drawing. If you spend all day on homework and then spend your evening watching demanding content, your brain is still in high input mode. True rest is letting the system idle, letting it sort that messy room in the background.
It's about minimizing the pressure to constantly react or absorb. If you're drawing, the only pressure is enjoying the process. If you're listening to music, you're intentionally shifting your focus away from the stress without just replacing it with a new source of information overload.
And finally, hack number 5, be kind to yourself. This is often the hardest one,
It really is.
especially for the high-achieving learner who internalizes every setback as a character flaw.
And the source grounds this in just fundamental reality.
Hmm.
It reminds you, you don't need to have everything figured out. That is a myth that, frankly, even adults struggle with. Self-kindness is simply giving yourself the same compassion you would easily give to a friend going through the exact same thing.
It's an antidote to that perfectionism that just accelerates the brain over time. So, pulling all of this together, the guide offers this really powerful emotional core message that validates everything we've talked about. It uses these crucial validations, insisting that your feelings matter and your struggles are valid, but the ultimate redefinition of strength. That's what completely flips the traditional script on vulnerability.
Absolutely. The source explicitly states, you are not weak for needing help. The entire philosophy is built around shifting that perspective. They define vulnerability, the act of recognizing a signal and then acting on it, as one of the most powerful things a human can do. In fact, the most profound shift in the entire guide is this. Asking for help is not a weakness. It is defined as a brain strength.
A brain strength, I love that.
It shows self-awareness, intelligence, and the capacity to act preventatively.
Right.
That recognition that your mind requires and deserves active care, that's the essential takeaway.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner, who just absorbed all this critical information? The guide defined mental health as the mind feeling and working well, and it clearly said that feeling overwhelmed means your brain is working overtime. So think about your own daily routine right now. What consistent activity or internal expectation are you currently engaging in that might be the equivalent of running a mental marathon every single day? The challenge isn't to suddenly fix everything, it's to apply just one of these 5 brain hacks. Maybe that means you actively name one specific feeling that's been swirling around. Or maybe you trade 5 minutes of screen time for a short music break. An immediate, necessary pit stop for your own amazing, overworked brain. Start small, but start acknowledging that care is necessary.